Hello, interwebs, and welcome to the Frak, this podcast. I am your well-traveled hostess, Jesse Gender, and I am joined, as always, by...
Well-traveled or not, you cannot speak worth a dang.
No, evidently not. I am exhausted, so that's partially why. But I figured exhausted was a word I probably used before, so I decided against using it here. So I went with well-traveled. And by the way, who are you?
It's Vera! People know who I am. Good grief. Come on now.
I mean, they're saddened by the fact that they know you. It's kind of like it bothers them every day. It's kind of like you're an eldritch horror demon that, like, once you have awareness of you, you haunt them for all time. Mm-hmm.
I was gonna give you a click, but you kind of pulled it out. I'm actually rather complimented by the eldritch horror.
I figured I knew you would be. I knew you'd like that.
Yeah, you pulled it out of the fire on that one. Nicely done.
Yeah. I'm glad. How are you?
Very tired. I think we both are for different reasons.
Yeah, very, very much so. I've been, for listeners, I was in New York City. So if you've been listening to these episodes every week, the last one we recorded was about 3 weeks ago. Because for the last 2 weeks and change, I was in New York City filming an episode of Nebula's upcoming show, Subliminal, that I directed. So excited about that. And then I went to San Francisco the last 3 days, where I was at BayCon, where I was doing a bunch of panels there and actually doing a screening of Identities, my other movie. So been a busy few weeks, and I literally just got home last night, so I am tired. But yeah. So yeah, I'm trying to think. My New York was fun. I got there literally on the hottest day of the year.
That's always fun.
Yeah, it was 100 degrees when I was there. Thankfully, my episode was all inside, so we had air conditioning the entire time. But I know the director before me, Joe Scott, who's a really awesome guy, his episode had to film like outside and sometimes in subways in like 100-degree heat. So not fun for him.
No,
at all.
I can't imagine it was.
No, not at all. I was like, I get to prep inside in a very nice, cool place, Joe. Haha.
Lucky you. You fucker.
What's been up with you? At least is what you can say.
Yes, what I can say, because like I have been away from work for a little bit for reasons that I don't feel like disclosing publicly. Everything is fine and everyone is fine, just none your business. So I'm good. I'm trying to remember what the hell had even gone on the last time we talked.
Right. I've been directing. That's all I've been doing.
Yeah,
so.
I can mention a few things I've seen if you feel like hearing about
go
that.
For it. I'll hear it. Yeah.
I've seen K-pop Demon Hunters.
Oh, how was that? I did want to see that.
It's really good.
Yeah,
it's really good. You need to you should watch it. It is very good. That is likely, in addition to just a flat out review in my secondary channel, it's probably going to be brought up in a major way in at least 2 upcoming videos that I have planned.
All right.
That was quite good. I watched a Netflix series called The Residents.
I've heard of it, but I don't know it too well.
It is quite good. It is a murder mystery set in the White House.
Mm-hmm.
It's 8 episodes. The detective character is a lot of fun. I liked her a lot. It's got a really good cast. And then there's like just a bunch of nice small touches. Like there are at least 4 like main recurring characters who definitely by Hollywood standards would be considered fat. It's 8 episodes long. There was not a single fat joke in it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Like, literally only one of them gets described as a big guy, but it's because he's also tall. And, like, it's literally an accurate physical descriptor. He was a big guy.
That's nice. Yay.
But, like, that's it. No other mention of anybody's weight at any point. And I was like, oh, that's nice.
Reminds me of when I was on Tilly Bridges, who is a consultant on Star Trek Prodigy and a Hollywood writer, trans writer. She has a wonderful podcast that I guested on. where called Tilly's Trans Tuesdays. And she talked about like all the TV shows that she had seen for the year. Like we went through and cataloged trans representation, all the TV shows that she'd seen. And what she also did was she wrote down every time there was a pronoun joke. Like, my pronouns are hungry and fat, or like something like that, like that. And when you hear all the shows that do it, you're like, man, it is indicative of the fact of how trans pronouns are viewed. Like when I hear it when I hear it sporadically throughout the year, like, all right, that was a dumb joke, whatever. But it's like, wow, it's lazy.
You look
and
at
it's
the list.
Indicative. Yeah. It's like it's a lazy joke, and it's indicative of a larger sensibility around trans pronouns in Hollywood, generally speaking. So I was like, it kind of reminds me of that from the opposite end.
Yeah.
So.
But it's a good series if you like murder mystery. I enjoyed it a fair bit. It is unfortunately not getting a follow-up. It was proposed as an anthology type thing. So like the mystery is solved at the end of the season. If it had gotten more, it would have been a new setting, new mystery. So you don't have to worry about unresolved plot threads or anything. But it was expensive to make, and it's very clear to see why, because most things that like are set in that involve the White House, it's like the Oval Office and the hallway and one or two generic offices. Mm-hmm. They recreated like most of the White House.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, that kind of makes sense for a murder mystery. You kind of need a good layout.
Yeah. It's funny. Apparently, it's actually based on a book, but the book is a nonfiction book that is just about the running of the house. But so much information about the details of how the staff run the White House was taken from this book, that even though it has now been turned into a mystery, it is still based on.
Mm-hmm. That's cute. That's really cute. Kind of reminds me of Orange is the New Black, because that was also a new nonfiction book it was based on too.
Yeah, but that at least still had a narrative to it.
Yeah.
Whereas this was just like here's what it's like to run the White House. And I just think it's kind of a neat idea that somebody read a nonfiction book and went, wow, that is so much interesting information. What
if a murder?
What story could we come up with that would allow us to just deal with all this and just exposit about the way this is run? Oh, well, we'll have a murder and it has to all be explained to the detective. Awesome. Let's do it.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, no, it was a good time. And I watched the third Venom movie.
Oh, yeah. Best way I can describe that movie is it's a perfect airplane movie. Like a perfect movie to watch on the plane.
It's fun. Like,
I enjoyed it, yeah. I didn't hate it.
People are weird about the Venom movies because, like, I remember when the second one came out, even people who liked the first one were like, it's not as good. I watched the second one and I went, fuck you, it's better.
Yeah, the second one is distinctly better than the first one.
And then the third one came out, and now, like, everyone's like, oh, no, the first two are good. And people who like the first two are like, it's not that good. I watched it, I'm like, it's fine. What the hell is with you people? When did you get expectations of this fucking franchise?
I think that's the thing, is like they have weird expectations. Like I go in with no expectations. I'm like, that was stupid. That was stupid fun. I enjoyed myself.
It's incredibly stupid. You know what I thought the stupidest stuff was going to revolve around, the symbiote or stuff like that. The stupidest thing, and I laughed my ass off at how dumb this was, is like there's this Osprey sort of it's this kind of, it's not a helicopter, but it's this sort of military vehicle that can kind of hover and stuff. And they're chasing Venom. And they have these 6 people like dangling out the bottom of it, like on bungees, aiming their guns as it's flying along with these 6 people just hanging out of it. I'm like, this is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever seen. And I love it. It's this G.I. Joe bullshit, and it's great.
My favorite thing is they build up all these symbiotes, however what you want to say it, in the third act, and then they all just immediately die in like 5 minutes, like very quickly. I'm like, okay, yeah, well, I'm glad we built that up for a fucking huge amount of time.
Like, here's the thing. I can understand why if you came in with expectations, you might not like it. I guess my question is, why did you have expectations? That's what I don't understand, why anybody with this franchise at this point came in with expectations.
My other favorite thing is they make a very clear point of establishing that the alien that is chasing Venom can only chase Venom if he goes full Venom, right?
Yep.
If he's just Eddie Brock, he can't be seen. And then the way the alien catches them is that he goes full Venom in Vegas to dance with the old lady with the clerk store owner for no reason. There's no reason he needs to go full Venom to dance with her,
none.
but that's...
Don't care. I love it.
Oh, no, I have no complaints. Like, absolutely perfect. No, don't change the damn thing. But it was so funny. It's like, why would you do that? It's so weird.
Because it's the third Venom movie, and
who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? Yeah, no, again, don't change a thing, but it's so stupid. I love it. So yeah, I agree. I will also share that we should also get talking about our show that we're going to be talking about this episode, but I will share after every episode after filming on set for Subliminal, I would usually get back to my hotel at around like 9:30 after like a 14 hour work day. Like, it's a 12-hour day, but I, as the director, got there early and stuff like that. So after 14 hours, I did not want to watch the shows that had come out recently, which were Squid Game and The Bear, which are stressful fucking shows and not what I kind of want to chill to right before going to bed and going back to another 14-hour day. So I decided to watch A Man on the Inside, which is the Ted Danson show by the guy who made the Good Place on Netflix.
Okay.
It's about Ted Danson. He plays kind of an older guy whose wife has died and kind of like lost touch with people. So his daughter says, get back out there. And so a detective agency hires him to infiltrate an old folks care home because a burglary has occurred there. And, it's nothing like super, super amazing, but it was a very, very cute and sweet life-affirming show that was also very, very funny. And it was also a show that you don't usually get to see so many older actors get to play with a lot of nuance and depth and not just be like, haha, we're old. It's like, no, they're actually like full people and full characters. It was just a very, very sweet show that I really, really enjoyed. Like, don't go out of your way to watch it if you're like looking for something like, you need to watch. But if you're looking for like a really cute show to just enjoy yourself and like just like a comfort show is probably the best way to put it, I would highly recommend it. So
very cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'll get to it. Like, I still haven't watched Ironheart. I haven't watched Squid Game yet. Like, I've got so much shit to do this week.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, you need to spend more time at home like I'm going to be doing this week. It feels like, I've just gotten home for a second time. And speaking of, we are watching this week Home Part 2 of Battlestar Galactica.
Are you even going to try and address past comments, or are we just gonna move on?
Oh, I pulled up a few. We can chat about this. So yes, as listeners, you may know, I've been gone for several weeks. So there's actually been a few episode releases since we last recorded. So I cannot look at every single comment that we've gotten on past episode, but I will point out a few. And I haven't looked at these ones, so I'm just going to randomly pick ones on this episode. I looked at ones for the episode today, but this is for Resistance. Arsenal says, Jesse with a good segue. I did it, apparently, on that episode. Of course, a single word title is the easiest, but still, congrats. It's kind of like today's episode. I listen to these while working, and every time I look over and see the Battlestar Galactica font word Resistance, my OCD keeps wanting to move the T and A closer together. Yeah, I can see that. It's the font I take issue with, not the use of it. And Jesse, I'm shocked, dare I say appalled. You cannot say the T word. No, hard R or not does not matter. I don't know what that word was. I must have said something silly.
Toaster.
Yeah. That's right. Also, she says, Vera, I am taking notes. I do have a dead planet in my book. I am making a note right now to never have any survivors on it. There weren't going to be, but now it's underlined.
Look, it's a very simple thing. Look, if you don't want to have a dead planet, cool. Don't call it a dead planet. I just want somebody to stick to their own fucking premise.
Well, someone, it appears, is. Primark359 says, I was recently watching the audio commentary for Star Trek Insurrection with Jonathan Frakes and Marina Sirtis. In addition to being a wonderful conversation between two friends, the commentary touched on a lot of how he directed the film. I was wondering if Jesse had taken the advice from this or other forums in which Jonathan Frakes had espoused on the topic. And if so, is there any advice I'm assuming from him, that you found particularly valuable? It's just his advice to him, but I'm assuming from him. I will not take too long on this, but I will say Jonathan Frakes actually is a really big inspiration for me, specifically in the kind of energy that he brings to set. Because what I love about him and what everyone who's worked with him, like I've talked to Jack Quaid who's worked with him and stuff like that, is that he is just like a guy full of a lot of energy and always brings positivity and like just a lot of like takes up a lot of space on set in like a good, like warm way, like a dad, like very dad energy on set. And he's talked about in podcasts and interviews and stuff about how he does that intentionally, even when he's very tired or whatnot, to try to always make sure like the attitude stays up and positive and things like that. Like it was just even something like on the episode Subliminal that I was doing, like, you know, one of the things that I learned is like how even if I feel rushed, if I act rushed to the actors or the crew, everyone picks up on that energy and starts stressing. But if I act like, hey, let's make sure we're moving, but like don't, like, even if I'm stressing out on the inside, it does set the tone for everybody. So that's something I really learned from Jonathan Frakes. Anyways, that was a longer answer, but one that was worth addressing. And then I'm moving on to the farm really briefly. Romler said, more specifically says in the commentary, they were well aware the audience would immediately suspect Leoben was a Cylon, so they made sure to have Starbuck say all the things they'd be thinking so it wouldn't feel insulting. I'm assuming not Leoben, it was Simon. Simon is probably what Romler meant. But yeah, yep. It was like very easy, like, yeah, dude's a Cylon. Erica Whalen said, milk toast is close to milk toast, so I can dig it. Because I think my adjective was milk to host.
Yes. Yes, you were the milked host.
Yes. And then Maro Cat said, oh, the Dark Fox Spirit is great. Dylan O'Brien is the highlight. Talking about Teen Wolf, the TV show. The Fox Spirit was the one I was talking about there. For that season that is legitimately fantastic. So, all right, let us get to home part 2 for our episode. I'm very excited to talk about this one with Vera. We start off the episode, as we get into our recap, with a montage of both Adama trying to figure out the best place to find where Roslin and her crew are on Kobol, as well as Roslin and her crew down on Kobol. We kind of get a little touching base with a lot of different things going on. Like Gaeta is using information used in from the Book of Pythia to be able to try and triangulate where they might be headed. They sort of find out like, oh, they're probably headed west from the Opera House. Adama also points out that like maybe she had a vision, Roslin did, and you know Ty and Gaeta like chuckle at that, but he's like, no, like. She believes she has visions, and whether or not they're true, she believes them, and that's something that we have to sort of take into account and sort of respect.
Yeah. So a couple things about this. On the Adama side, I always just kind of like, and like it doesn't always go a way that I prefer, but in general, I usually like the idea of somebody having to study and get to better understand something that they don't believe, just because it matters so much to someone else that they need to understand it so that, you know, they're in a better position. In this case, it's just to be able to find her. But he's like, regardless of what he thinks, this is what she thinks, and I need to figure out what the hell she's doing. So I tend to like that in general. The stuff that's on Kobol, well, first of all, my first note is dramatic rain is dramatic.
Yes, very much so that they're almost getting caught in a flash flood.
Well, that's the other... Almost getting caught in a flash flood. Okay, 2 things. First of all, as is generally typical with a lot of these things, sun is out way too damn much, meaning they just had rain machines. But then the other thing is they tried so hard to make this hill look steeper than it was.
Yeah, because everyone's like tripping over. They're like, oh God, they're so
tripping,
hard.
There's something, Lee calls it a ravine. I'm like, bullshit. And then they like have this one pan up like, well, we'll rest because we still have to tackle that. I'm looking up like, that is a mild incline. Like, I'm not saying it wouldn't be a pain in the ass to get up in the rain. I understand it would, but it ain't what you're making it out to be.
The other thing that we get here too is also Zarek goes up to Rosalind and says, "Oh, I'll contact the Astral Queen, see if they can pick us up." But then Apollo sort of puts his foot down. He's like, "I'm the one in charge here." Meh, meh, meh. So more ammo in the gun for Zarek to hate Apollo is essentially what that was about.
To be fair, Apollo's being a dick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he is. Not a shock. Not a shock.
No, it kind of isn't. My assessment of him as a character is not in a great place.
Mm-hmm. Well, we then get to we see in the distance, and Toomer is looking at a formation of twin rocks, which she says are the gates of Hera. It's the spot where the gods saw Athena throw herself on the rocks below over the exodus of the 13 tribes, hence where Athena's tomb is. And then we have a little bit of a conversation about how the Cylons believe in one god, and Toomer even says, "We know more about your religion than even you do, even though we don't worship false idols." So we get a little bit of that.
So 2 things. I know this is nitpicky. The word "even" was not in that sentence. It was just, "We know more about your religion than you do." Because saying "we know more about your religion than even you do" is acknowledging that other person still knows a lot, but that you know more. Taking that out equally implies...
It's very belittling.
It equally implies that I know a lot and that you don't know shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also curious as to how accurate that is, or how much of that is arrogance.
I don't know. She does seem to know quite a bit.
She does seem to know a fair bit, but there is a definite superiority complex that is nearly universal across the Cylons that we've spent a bit of time with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which again, it's one of those things where, like, from a strictly narrative perspective, it makes more sense for me to just take her at her word at that. But from a character perspective, I don't want to, because there's too many layers of stuff going on, and it's actually more interesting if maybe she knows more, but probably not as much as she's acting.
Yeah, there's we'll get there when we get there, but there is a specific Cylon character who you have not met yet, but I am so excited for you to meet, because I have a deep assumption you're going to love them for a lot of the things you're talking about. They're also my favorite character on this show, period, too. Listeners will probably already know who exactly I'm talking about, but when we get to that character in specific, it'll address a lot of these thoughts that you're having, and also I'm very excited about it. So
We'll see.
That's all I will say. We then cut to Baltar in the cell on the Galactica with Head 6, who is sitting in a chair naked, looking at him. Of course, yeah. And she says, "Our child will be born here in this room." And then Baltar, up top, is saying, "Do you really expect me to take you seriously when you're naked?" Also starts pushing back against her, being like, you keep talking about this mythical baby. The whole tone of our conversation has been shot to pieces by it. My fantasy woman in my head, and, you know, talking about, like, is gonna bear my child. You know, you're not my fantasy anymore. And she gets kind of angry at this, like, this is dangerous territory. And he starts joking about stuff like...
The dangerous territory thing was in response to a very specific thing.
Oh, yeah. Who is going to bear our secret love child?
Yep.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And he asks, "Is it Starbuck?"
Mm-hmm.
And that's when she says, "You're in dangerous territory." Which, first of all, why you gotta bring that fucking thing up again?
Yeah, I gotta bring back that he's jealous about Starbuck.
Move the fuck on. It was a bad plot point. Pretend it didn't happen. Fuck off.
Yep. Well, anyways, he also jokes about, like, "Oh, what's gonna happen this week? The ship's gonna blow up? Oh, actually, no, maybe it'll be me that blows up." But then all of a sudden he looks around and Six is no longer naked. She's wearing a sweatshirt and dressed kind of casually. And
it's a hoodie.
She's wearing a hoodie. She said, "You know what? Game's over. You win. Wake up and smell the psychosis already."
Yeah. And her hair's just kind of pulled back in a simple ponytail. And she has what I'm going to say is the Hollywood version of no makeup. She still has makeup on. Yes, but, like, it's the Hollywood version of no makeup.
Mm-hmm. And she says, there is actually no Cylon chip implanted in your brain. I'm not real. You're not getting messages from the Cylons. You're just crazy. I'm just you. You're fracking. You're subconscious fracking with your mind. Your fragile mind couldn't handle the fact that you helped commit genocide to your people. So you made me up and said that like this narrative that God had chosen you. And then she suggests getting a brain scan. That would settle it, wouldn't it? Because Baltar is a little unsettled by this.
Yeah. So my first immediate thought was, this is equally plausible that this is accurate and that this is just the new way that she's fucking with him because the old way stopped working.
Mm-hmm. We'll talk about it more at the end. Because I forgot that this plot point happened this early in the show. So we'll talk about the end bit at the end there. But we go back to Cobalt, and we see Adama there was also a point earlier, I think, during the montage sequence where Adama says like he's only going to take a trusted crew of people. He's not going to bring everybody, but he himself is going down because it has to be him to be able to talk to Rosalind.
Yeah, what part of what was interesting was it's not just that, he also quotes the scriptures, and that people
the price
will,
of blood.
Yeah. So, and he brings that up basically saying like we need to have minimal bloodshed, so he wants to put minimal people at risk. And it's interesting that he cites scripture as part of his justification for that.
Very much so. Well, he does go down to the planet. He brings himself, the chief, Billy, and then a couple other folks, but those are sort of the big people of note. And he has a quick little conversation with Billy on the Raptor. Because Adama says, she trusts you, she values your counsel, and Billy's like, I don't know if she really does, and he says, she thinks you'll be president one day. She said you reminded her of President Adar, and he says, I don't know how to respond to that, and Adama says, don't let it go to your head, Adar was a moron. Just kind of like, that got a chuckle out of me.
Here's a question for you. So, the Raptor is kind of shaking around back and forth through all this. So, I assume they were like, entering the atmosphere or something. Except that it's after this conversation that they make the jump to actually arrive at Cobalt. Why the fuck was the Raptor shaking?
Yeah, that is a little weird. Maybe it was like getting off the Galactica?
No, it was just in space.
Look, some space has turbulence. You don't know. There's some dust clouds out there every once in a while,
I think they just fucked the continuity and were stuck with it in the edit because the shaking was clearly partially done in camera.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, that was probably some director fucked up on it.
Yeah. Somebody fucked up their shot list about where things fell in the order of events.
Yep. Well, we then cut to Apollo and Starbuck chatting together, and they're sort of chatting about how Hilo is kind of giving them the creeps because he loves Tumor. How could he get roped in with one of them? And Starbuck says, well, hey, he's a friend. And Apollo points out, well, Sharon, the original, quote unquote, the original Boomer, was a friend of hers too. And then we cut over to Tumor's conversation, and Tumor starts talking with Hilo about how she feels like she's back in the fleet with her family. She has the memories of the other Sharon. She remembers it all, like the memory of being in uniform is so potent. I am Sharon Valeri, and this is my family. So she has warm and fuzzies about the Galactic crew. And then we go to Zarek, and I forgot his name because it's been a couple weeks, but I'm going to call him second in command. So Zarek and his second in command.
I don't remember his name either. In my mind, he was just James Remar.
Yeah. I'll just call him James. Zarek and James, who is Zarek's second in command. We learned his name last week, but it was 3 weeks ago for us listeners, and they don't say it this episode, so I don't remember. But anyways, they're sort of conspiring again that they have to get rid of Apollo. And Zarek is kind of getting a little bit of cold feet. And James says, why are you backing out of this now? And Zarek says, getting blood in your hands is easier than washing it off. And James comes up with this idea of, well, why don't we blame the Cylon? Use her to try to kill Apollo. Zarek says, we should wait until we find the tomb to do it. So.
Yeah.
Also, we get a little bit with Sharon, or Tumor, I should say. About she knows that her baby is a girl. So we get that little bit. We then have
Mazel tov.
Yay! Starbuck also is then talking to Rosalind as they continue to walk, and she sort of tells Rosalind about what's happened on Caprica. Cylons seem to have a plan for it. They're fixing up infrastructure and such. But also, she says there is a resistance there, and we need to send a rescue mission back to Caprica. We should plan that when we get back from this. And Rosalind sort of kind of brushes it off, saying, hey, I can't think about anything but finding the tomb right now.
Which... To be fair, she is a sick woman trying to hike ostensibly a mountain.
Yes, supposedly a mountain.
Yes.
In the script, it's a mountain.
What we are being confidently assured of is a mountain. Of course, all the walking they've been doing since climbing out of the ravine, quote unquote, has been on flat ground. But shh.
It's a really flat mountain. Anyways, we then cut to a quick little basic comedy scene where Baltar is getting his CT scan in the sickbay with Doc Coddle. Head 6 kind of comes in and messes with him, grabs his dick at one point, which causes him to move, which means the scan has to be reset. And we see Baltar saying, why are you doing this to me? God has a plan for me. And she kind of plays sarcastic, saying, yeah, God has a plan. There is a God, and he talks to Gaius Baltar. Yuck, yuck. And that sort of gets him to move again. And Coddle just comes out and says, will you stop going crazy in there? And Baltar's like, I'm not crazy.
Yeah. So what I like about this is that it's revealing that as much as, so Baltar, because he thinks himself he thinks himself a brilliant person. Mm-hmm. But at the very least, because he thinks himself a rational person, he has almost always, but he has repeatedly been pushing back on the idea of being guided by God. And like, he caves in moments of panic because he's a fucking coward. But, he's been pushing back on this. And this whole thing started, that resulted in her going business casual. With
which honestly I kind of like her that look on her too.
I'm just so happy for the actress that she finally got to wear something comfortable on set.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what it's like being in those dresses all the damn time. That or whatever modesty clothing she has to put on to do the quote unquote nude scenes. I hate to spoil the movie magic for you folks, but unless you actually see nudity, the people are not actually naked on set.
No.
But anyways, what I like about this is in this moment, in the past he's been pushing back, but what this moment kind of reveals is part of the reason he's been pushing back on the idea that he is like chosen by God is so that she will reaffirm that idea to him. It's sort of that, oh, no, not me. I couldn't possibly. Tell me again.
I'm not that important. Yeah.
Yeah, tell me again.
It fits his ego really well.
And now she's not playing along. And suddenly he's flipped and is saying, he is protected by God because she's not affirming him anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yep, he just wants to be a little special boy. Look at you, you're so special. You're a little special boy.
Look, dude just needs a mommy dom and like
he really does.
He
kind of already does.
Book a session once a week, dude. It's gonna do so much for your mental health.
He already does kind of have a mommy dom. Unfortunately, she is rather aggressive and does not follow the safety rules.
Yes, she's arguably psychotic. So
yes, very much so. Well, anyways, we then cut to Toomer talking to second in command James. They're kind of having a little secret powwow. And he sort of asked her, do you remember shooting Adama? She says no. And he tells her, well, what do you think happened to the Sharon that did shoot Adama? She was murdered by one of the crew, and everyone on Galactica let it happen. Ask Lee. They're not going to let your child be born. You better start looking out for yourself. So sort of trying to convince her to help him kill Apollo.
Yeah.
But then they
with the subtlety of a brick.
Yes, very much. I mean, it's not a bad tactic, frankly.
It's not a terrible tactic. And like, here's the thing. I think this only works because him knowing she's a Cylon, in my mind, I think he thinks she is less sophisticated. I think he thinks of her like a machine. Mm-hmm. So under other circumstances, I might say this, you're a fucking idiot, man, if you think she's not going to see through this. But if he thinks she's a machine, then he might honestly have a lower opinion of her intellect and her ability to read a situation than he should.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, they do hear something, and it turns out to be Adama has arrived. He gives a death stare for a second to Apollo, but ends up embracing him and forgives him. And then he says, "Good to see you, President." And Billy appears, and Roslin says, "You have no idea what it means to have you here." Adama also goes up and embraces Starbuck, who I realized he has not seen in 7 episodes at this point.
So nope, it's been a hot minute.
Mm-hmm. But then the chief sees Tumor.
Yeah.
And Hilo tries to say, "She's with us, Commander." But then Adama gets a flashback to getting shot, and he grabs her neck and throws her to the ground and says, "I want you to die." But they manage to get her off of him because Adama has like a little bit of a fainting moment.
It's really weird and really unclear. I guess like he has a heart murmur moment or something.
My read on it was the pain from his recent surgeries got him as he was thinking about it. You know what I mean? Like, like caused the pain to flare up. It wasn't entirely clear, but that's kind of how it read to me.
Yeah.
So, because the man has had two surgeries and got shot 3 times less than what, like 2-3 weeks ago, something like that.
Yeah.
At least in Showtime.
He should still be in recovery, but whatever.
Yeah. And as Adama is being taken off of her, Tumor whispers to Adama, "And you ask why."
Okay, so important context for that because he kind of brushed over it. Mm-hmm. When he flashed back, it was not just to the moment she shot him. He also flashed back to looking down at her body in the morgue and asking the question, why? So her saying to him, "And you ask why," is very odd, considering that the Sharon that quote-unquote heard that was fucking dead.
And also not this Sharon.
Well, like, that part is a little bit more nebulous just in terms of the shared information or whatnot. But theoretically, regardless of when information got, like, uploaded to the Sharon cloud or whatever the fuck, regardless of that, he said that to a corpse. And she kind of throws it in his face a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. I don't expect it to come back. I think that's something they pulled as a real cool ooh moment, and it will never be brought up again.
Yeah, I mean, I could buy it in the sense, like, maybe the bodies have, like, listening devices or something on it, but, like, yeah, it is a little bit weird.
No, I think this was just a, ooh, we'll give them chills down their spine moment, and they will never circle back on this.
Yeah, I don't remember it ever coming back, so yes, you're correct. At least to my knowledge. At the very least, it's not important enough for me to remember it years later, so.
Yeah.
Anyways, we go to Baltar and Doc Coddle, who shows Baltar his brain scans, and he says there's absolutely no unidentified objects in his head, to which Baltar seems a little bit perturbed by, or a lot perturbed by. And I love Coddle walking away, say, "Bloody hypochondriac, one on every ship."
Yeah.
Just giving McCoy energy. I love it. I love Coddle. So yes, we now know that there is not a chip in Baltar's brain.
Yes, which, to be clear, does not still fully resolve the question of Head 6. It just changes what the possibilities are. Mm-hmm. But we'll get back to that later.
Yes. All right. Adama and Roslin are sitting on the planet in their little makeshift tents, and he says to her, "You interfered with a military mission and broke your word to me. I forgive you." And I love how Rosalind also says two things I love that she says in response to this. One, she says, it seems to me that second thing is more important than the first one, meaning that it bothered him more that she broke her word to him than interfering with a military mission, which is, I think she's right on that. And then she also says, thank you, Bill. I didn't ask for your forgiveness, which I also really loved. Because I'm like, yeah, she didn't ask.
I also like his reply in that he says this with no hostility. You have it anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a very mutual, respectful conversation of like, all right, we've had frustrations, but like I will forgive you. I didn't ask for your forgiveness, and he's like not getting any angry about that. So yeah, and again, I also like that she never forgives him or even admits any wrongdoing, because in my opinion, she didn't really do anything wrong. So. I mean, maybe going over his head and getting Starbuck to run away from her mission, that arguably is it is a breaking of protocol. So that's something that you could lay down. But the standing up against the coup attempt, that no.
Yeah. Well, also it's worth noting that there isn't really an indication that he expects her to apologize. He doesn't seem to expect anything back from this.
Mm-hmm.
This is just his way of saying, like, I get it, let's move on.
Mm-hmm. No, it was a really good scene for both of them. We then cut to Hilo and Toomer talking, and Toomer is sort of sharing, like, they killed the other Sharon. Is this that scene? I want to make sure. Okay, no, that's not this scene. But she's telling Hilo that, but then the chief comes up and says hi, very clearly sort of still taken aback by the fact that he is seeing another Sharon. As Adama foretold several episodes ago. And Sharon goes up to him, and he asks, do you know who I am? And she says, yes, we haven't met, but I remember you. And she hugs him and says, it's good to see you.
So, couple things about this.
Mm-hmm.
The first is, it's interesting that all we get is, I remember you. We don't get a sense of up to what point.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, does she remember actually, like, having slept with him? Does she know that? Because, like, the question is, so the fact that she knows who the chief is at all means that at some point, the boomer that was on Galactica uploaded her memories to the cloud.
The sharing cloud.
Yes, to the sharing cloud. At some point that must have happened, because for this one to recognize even who he is, that's something that, at least in theory, depending on how many other Cylons are on the ship and who they are, but at least as we understand right now, in theory, she should only recognize him if she has information that Boomer would have gotten after having already been on the ship.
Mm-hmm.
But we also don't know how far that goes, how much of the experiences, how long into Boomer's time on the ship she has memories of. That having been said, her hugging him was a little fucked up, actually.
Yeah.
Like, in a, are you oblivious or are you fucking with him kind of way? Because, like, your baby daddy's right behind you. And this is a guy who, as far as he is concerned, held you as you died because A, he loved you, but B, was conflicted as fuck and things were really messed up. And you hug him lingeringly and whisper sweet nothings into his ear for a hot minute. That's a little head fucky that you just pulled on him.
Yeah, so here's my read on a few of the things that you said. So I actually don't, this may actually get confirmed later on in the series. I earnestly do not remember, so this isn't me saying definitively this is the case. But my read on it always was that Toomer's memories, and to be fair, the and you ask why question kind of throws a wrench in this reading, but it was that she only had memories up until around the start of the miniseries. Of Sharon, that she doesn't have any memories of them since the genocide and the miniseries events. because when she meets Hilo, like, she hasn't really referenced anything beyond that point, and they must have uploaded her with memories that they had up until when, like, the original Sharon, we'll just call her OG Sharon, Boomer, left Hilo on the planet Caprica.
Well, also, like, in theory, they were both on Caprica at the same time. So,
yes.
like, maybe they auto-update within a certain proximity. Who the fuck knows?
Yeah, so something like that was always my read. Now, again, that and you ask why question kind of throws a wrench in that, but she also does say this episode that she does not remember. She does not remember shooting Adama.
Yeah.
And then B, never physically met the chief. So that was always kind of my read on it. And then as for the hug, there's two ways to read it. There's either A, she is fucking with him, and it's an intentional mind fuck to sort of like ingratiate herself with him because she realizes she needs allies in some ways. So doing that is an intentional play to be like, hey, we still love each other, right? You know, kind of fucking with him a little bit is like a mind fuck. Or B, is earnest, which she was saying earlier. She's saying, like, I see these people as family. And so she does still have some emotions for the chief from the memories from the other Sharon, and she's hugging him through that. Or a mixture of both.
Which is why I said it's either head fucky or oblivious. Because if it's earnest, then she is not reading the goddamn room very well.
No. Well, no one said that the Sharons ever had good social skills, even when they are in sleeper mode. So yeah, very, very strange scene, but interesting nonetheless. Not a bad one. We then cut to Zarek and Second in Command talking to each other. And they're sort of saying, all right, now that Adama's here, where does this leave us under the yoke of Adama? And James again puts out this idea of like, well, we could tell them a sad story of how many people were killed by the Cylons, and we could play it that way. And Zarek's like, it's over, man. Let it go, dude. So, like, this isn't gonna work out for us. But then we go to Adama and Roslin, chatting with each other. And Roslin says, Starbuck says there's resistance fighters, maybe on Caprica. Maybe we should have stayed and fought for our homes. Maybe the president of the colonies should have stayed and fought with them. Maybe we made the wrong decision. And Adama sort of says, we made a decision. We made the decision together. The right one. It was the right one then, the right one now. Because every moment since then is a gift, not from the gods, from you. I would be dead. My son would be dead. Whatever else the cost, I won't second guess that outcome.
Yeah.
So,
which again, like, I'm kind of glad that they have this moment, because it's not that I'd forgotten, but it's been long enough that I think it's worth reminding the audience that, like, he would have gone down fighting had she not basically said, snap
you
out
have
of
a
it.
duty to protect this fleet.
Snap out of it and protect who's left and get us out of here.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. And it's him acknowledging that, like, she was the one who kind of made the decision, but they did make it together and accepting responsibility with her. It's like him, it's an interesting sort of balance of, like, him being like, you helped make me make that choice you helped bring up that choice and make me see that choice. So it is a gift from you. But then also, it's not just on you. We made that decision to do it together. And we should be happy with what has happened because we have saved people, specifically my family. So,
yes.
Yeah, I thought it was really nice. And then he says, I think it's time we go find this tomb of yours. We then cut to, again, another conversation between Hilo and Toomer. And Toomer is kind of freaking out at Hilo, saying, like, hey, I learned that Callie killed the other Sharon and only got 30 days in the brig and the only reason she got 30 days is because they don't see it as murder. Cylons are not people to them. I'm a thing. And Hilo says, I won't let them kill you like the other Sharon. But Sharon, Toomer says, if we're going to have a future together, any at all, I'm going to have to take matters into my own hands. Do you love me? He says, yes. Do you trust me? He says, yes. Then don't ask me what I have to do. And he tries to ask, but then she says, just trust me. Trust us. So, yep. We then cut to Sharon, I keep calling her Sharon, Toomer talking to Second in Command, James. And they sort of have officially decided to do the plan, which is Sharon's going to take Apollo and James will take Adama.
Well, it's worth noting that it is Sharon in specific who lays out who goes after who.
Yes.
Says, you take the father, I take the son.
Mm-hmm.
Which was like the instant I was like, okay, she's not.
She's setting him up, of course.
Yeah.
Anyways, they find the tomb, or at least what looks like the tomb, big rock in front of a thing, not Jesus-y at all. Yes, when they do, James pulls out his gun, as does Sharon. But then Sharon pulls her gun and shoots James, basically killing him. He'll have a last word in a minute here. But then she turns the gun on Adama, which kind of gives little flashbacks of Adama getting shot earlier on. But then she says to him, I don't have protocols waiting to be activated. I make my own choices, and I need you to know this is my own choice. And then she gives him the gun.
So there's more specific wording she has than that. She says, I don't have protocols lying in wait.
Mm-hmm.
So, which to me, I am reading as rather than necessarily like a trigger phrase or something, more like specific circumstances that needed to be met.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you find yourself in situation X,
do Y
with person A, B, and C, and it does not clash with Y, then do X.
Mm-hmm. In other words, she doesn't have any, like, she basically can make her own choices. She may have protocols that she's going by, basically her own missions that she's on, but she is capable of making her own choices in that, unlike the other Sharon, who seemed to kind of go against her own will at certain points, based on her having a dual kind of split personality, sleeper personality.
Yeah. Well, so. This one is claiming flat out, I don't have protocols lying in wait. So she's claiming that she doesn't have any.
Mm-hmm.
Which we'll see.
Well, the wording is don't have any lying in wait.
I mean, it also begs the question, would she even know?
Yeah, it does beg that question too. Indeed, it does.
Like, that's a very easy thing for her to say.
Yes. I mean, many people, like, do we have free will? We tend to think we do, but we may not. Who knows? And that is a question that this show does deal with in certain ways as well. Anyways, we'll leave that there. And we have a last word with James, Zarek's second in command. Zarek goes over to him, and James says, I just wanted to see you get your due. And Zarek says, you never did listen to me. So, I'm just saying they were probably fucking. They buried their gays again, even if it was only in my head, damn it.
They bury the theoretical gays.
God damn it. Burying those hypothetical gays.
Schrodinger's queer.
But if you still open the box, they're both still dead. It's fine.
Yes. Dead regardless.
That's just how being gay works. Anyways, Starbuck then tries to use the arrow to open the tomb of Athena, but it really doesn't work, so they just push open the tomb. And everyone goes in except for Hilo, the chief, Zarek, and Sharon. They all stay outside, with the chief sort of watching over everybody. They go into the tomb, and there's a bunch of broken statues around, and they realize that they are the statues of the icons that represent the icons of the 12 tribes. You know, Apollo, yada yada. And they notice there's one for Sagittarion, who has a bow and is missing a arrow, which then Starbuck puts in, and suddenly they are standing in a field, in a grassy field, with giant statues and constellations around them. So giant statues around them and constellations above the statues.
I mean, you say statues, it's big rocks. It's like
Stonehenge.
It's like Stonehenge without the cross piece.
Yes.
So there, before we get too far into this, it was funny the swiftness with which they addressed this, because I noted this down, that like they're in the cave, and they're naming these gods like Sagittarion, Gemini. I'm like, it's weird that some of the names for some of these gods are like they've become on instead of, Gemini, Sagittarius, the things that we would know them as, when there are some that appear unchanged, like Apollo, Athena, and Zeus. But then when they end up in the field and they start identifying the symbols,
constellations and symbols on the rocks,
the symbols of these gods, and realizing that they are constellations, I think it's Rosalind says, their original ancient names, Gemini, Sagittarius, etc.
Libra,
which means
Virgo, Cancer.
Yes, which means that they were once the names as we know them. It's just the language evolved a little bit, which I think was kind of a fun little touch.
Well, what they basically come to understand is that this is the map to Earth, that wherever Earth is, it is a planet where they can see all of these constellations from it. Because according to the scriptures, that you could see the original 12 flags of the colonies in the sky. It says they looked up in the sky and could see their 12 brothers, see the constellations of the 12 colonies. So that's how they can find Earth. And Starbuck sort of realizes that they're standing on Earth right now in this sort of vision or teleportation or whatever it is. And so they're like, all right, well, that's great, but are we going to be searching the entire galaxy for a specific star pattern? And then Apollo looks up, and then, of course, conveniently, a giant nebula-looking thing, astrobody M8, they say, is viewable in the sky, and they know where that is. It's a long way from where they currently are, but they can at least have a direction and now a map.
Yeah, which, also... If you know what the constellations look like, they only look like you. The nebula is a cheat, because if you know what the constellations have to look like, and if you know what at least some of the stars in those constellations are, then you can triangulate where you would have to be in order to see all of these things from a certain spot. And I'm just saying the nebula is unnecessary. There are already ways to do this.
I actually would argue they never say they know any of the stars specifically. And so to be able to map out where on a single planet somewhere where all of these constellations would be viewable would actually, considering how many fucking stars are in a galaxy alone, I actually think is a pretty big task. So I would actually argue that the nebula is somewhat necessary to give them at least it's vaguely near that thing.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
It's a little bit of a crutch. It's not as much of a cheat as something that's about to happen that I'm going to go off on in a hot second.
Okay. All right. Well, that's everything I had for that scene. Did I miss anything in that scene, or are you about to go off something else?
No, go ahead. Okay.
Well, then we cut back to the Galactica.
Stop! What do you mean we cut back to the fucking Galactica? Fuck you! That is cheating! Where were they? Were they teleported? Was it a vision? What did it look like when they came out of it? What the fuck you mean we just cut back to Galactica? God damn it! Fuck you!
Wow. I did not realize you were that upset. Jesus Christ.
That pissed me off so much! Okay, look. The big overriding question right now is how much of the mystical religious bullshit is accurate or real. And if you don't even show me what it looked like when they came out of the cave, teleported back, the vision faded, I don't know shit. I literally have nothing to go on. Whether this is a hologram, whether this is a vision, whether this is mystical teleportation, I've got fucking nothing because I don't know what it looked like when they got back.
I'm dying a little bit. This is so funny.
Fuck you, that's cheating.
It is. I understand what you're saying. I always had cannons that they just walked out of they broke the circle and it just popped them back in the cave and they had no fucking idea what was going on. But that was always my headcanon, but it is a headcanon.
It really pissed me off.
Fair enough. I find it really funny. Anyways, we pop back over to the Galactica somehow. Somehow the Galactica returned. And
It's about as coherent.
And Adama's giving a speech, our strength and our only hope as peoples to remain undivided. The letters, the gods say, the scriptures say that the gods will lead us to salvation, and maybe they will, but the gods say, it also says the gods shall lift up those who lift up each other. So let me present once again president of the colonies, Laura Roslin, and he's the first one that starts clapping for her. So basically a speech reaffirming his publicly his faith in Roslin's leadership.
Well, and so it's a little bit weirder than that. Mm-hmm. So you say he's the first one to start clapping. He's not, because like there is, when he introduces her, they do applaud.
Oh yeah.
It's not like nobody was applauding. It's
he just starts like a second
after they
round.
die down. He then walks forward and starts the slow clap.
Yeah. He just wanted to be involved, He guy like, who doesn't like to start a slow clap, If I had the power, if I was a commander of a ship and I could start a slow clap whenever the hell I wanted, I would definitely take advantage of that power.
Oh, I'm trying to remember what movie it was. I think it was Not Another Teen Movie, where there was a recurring gag where the guy keeps trying to start a slow clap and everyone's like, dude, what are you doing? And then like towards the end of the movie, he's like, this is my moment. He goes to start it something and somebody else like starts it before him. And he just tackles that guy like, you son of a bitch.
That's really fun. That's actually a good bit.
That's actually a good movie. Like, it's not from the assholes who did like Meet the Spartans and like.
Oh, you mean the guy who wrote Chernobyl and also Last of Us? I'm not even kidding about that. Oh yeah. What's his face wrote? I believe at least Epic Movie, and I think Meet the Spartans as well, but I might be misremembering that.
Well, I was blaming the directors, who I forget what they.
Oh yeah,
like,
the brothers
it wasn't
or
from them. It was like it was a parody that came out just before they started destroying parody movies.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes.
Not Another Teen Movie is actually pretty good.
I honestly don't. I remember the Scary Movie series as like
those I don't like. Those are shit.
I don't remember liking, like, I enjoyed them because like I was a like teen who would go over to my friend's house and we'd all watch them get like a bunch of like, high school people who seemed like high school boys laughing at it. So like I enjoyed it for like that level of humor. However,
I hate that series so much.
No, I don't disagree. They're bad. I legitimately loved, like, when I do remember, I'll tell two stories then. I do distinctly remember loving those movies when I was really younger. Like, I would see them at a friend's house, like, ooh, we're watching a rated R movie, ha ha ha, isn't this funny? And we always loved them. And then I went to see Epic Movie in theaters with a friend, and I didn't laugh the entire time, and I actually got scared because it was my first time going to a movie like that where I had never like laughed, and I'm like, is my sense of humor broken? I legitimately was scared that my sense of humor was broken. No, it's just a bad movie. But yeah. I was legitimately scared. However, going back, there is one visual gag that always has just stuck with me. I think it's in the third one. They're like going to like, they're like rallying up to defeat the monster or whatever, and they grab shovels, but then they like cock the shovels like a shotgun, and a shell falls out. That's a dumb visual gag that has always just stuck with me. I was like, all right, that one's legitimately funny.
Well, part of what's infuriating about scary movies, the Wayans are, I mean, granted they were only involved in the first two, but like I hate those first two as well. Those aren't the good ones. They all suck. But like they're not incapable of doing decent parody. I'm Gonna Get You Sucker is funny. Don't Be a Menace to South Central While Drinking Your Juice in the Hood is funny. Like, they're not incompetent at this. They just were so fucking lazy. But that's the epitome of those movies. They're goddamn lazy.
Yeah. They were a whole genre for a while. Anyways, we then cut to Sharon is in the jail cell and is visited by Hilo. And she says, I'm okay, really. I just don't want our baby born in this cell. To which Baltar overhears with Six.
Yeah, because he's spying.
Yes. And he overhears this, to which he's kind of surprised because he said Six shows up and now she's back in her normal outfit. And she says, I told you our child would arrive. I told you it would arrive in this room. And so Baltar says, so Boomer is going to bear our child, which Six says, an honor she's hardly deserving, but it's not for me or something like that to question God's will. And then Balthar says, well, we know you're not a chip, that we've established, but you are, it appears, more than a simple manifestation of my subconscious based on the information about the baby that I'm now getting here. So I'm not crazy. And then he looks at her and says, then who are you exactly? And her response in this last line of the episode is, I'm an angel of God to guide you to the end of the human race. Or he says to what? And she says to the end of the human race.
Yeah. So this does shockingly little to change the dynamic between the two of them going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Because you'd think that revealing like, oh, there's definitely no chip would actually shake things up. It doesn't. It still leaves us in basically the exact same place, although it makes slightly more sense now.
Mm-hmm.
Because now instead of he's crazy or there's a chip in his head, now it's he's crazy or God is talking to him through this vision in his head. Yeah. Like, that doesn't actually change the dynamic at all. I will say that it makes more sense because a lot of what Head 6 didn't. So part of what was really difficult with, and part of why I never really bought the chip thing, like, I knew the show was trying to juggle it as a possibility, but part of the reason I never bought it was because a fair amount of her behavior didn't make a ton of sense. It didn't like completely contradict the idea that she could be, but like there was a lot of stuff she did. I'm like, to what end does that help the Cylons? Mm-hmm. Like, to what end does what she's doing benefit them? Whereas here, if we attribute it to the idea of God, it gives us a third, far more nebulous power with its own agenda. So now her doing shit that wouldn't benefit the Cylons is no longer an issue because it's theoretically, arguably, to the benefit of something which we don't know the agenda of.
Yes, which is what I was very excited for this episode to get to, because we were having all these conversations about like, oh, I can't hold them in my brain for you. And I'm like literally going, and you're just like, well, it's either one or the other. And I kept being like, I wonder if Hero at any point will pick up on the possibility of what if third thing.
Well, see, the thing is...
and I was sitting here like, well, what if secret third thing?
Well, the thing is, I had kind of lumped the idea that she actually understood, like, the nature of God. I had filed that under the idea that she was connected to the Cylons because while the other Cylons that we have seen don't necessarily claim to hear directly from God, they are all espousing those same beliefs. Mm-hmm. So... it's not that I wasn't considering that notion. It's just that notion was all mixed up in the Cylon stuff.
Yeah, the characterization of Head 6 was not so afield from how the Cylons and even the Sixes that we definitively know are there have been characterized. So it wasn't so like you're acting completely different. It would seem weird that you're not that. So I get it. It was like it wasn't one of those things where it's like, oh, you definitely should have, you're dumb sort of thing. It was just one of those, like, I saw how much you were struggling, and I'm just like, man, just telling her that, but what if third thing might help her so much. And so I'm glad it's happening here and not going out too far. Because yes, the dynamic is still, is he crazy well, just to put it out there, is he crazy, or is she an actual angel of God, or is she an agent of something else that is claiming to be God? There's more possibilities here.
I mean, like, anything that is she is taking her marching orders from some third thing, I will just lump under God. Like, the question of...
the question of what God is in the context
the question
of the show
is God actually God? You know, is God some nebulous thing? Is God some third faction? Why does God need a starship? All of that, like, that's all just lumped under she answers to some other thing.
Mm-hmm. So yes, there is some other thing involved in this show, whether it be actual mystical God with a beard or not, we shall find out.
Well, see, like, this is kind of what ticks me off about the cheat that is done, not showing what getting out of, I'm just going to call it a vision because I don't know what the fuck else to call it. Not showing what getting out of that looks like is that now my hanging annoyance is I don't know how much literal mysticism I am meant to be ascribing to what's going on. Mm-hmm. Because, like, there has been a mystical background element, sure, it's been an energy, it's been a vibe. I don't know if I should be attributing actual concrete weight to that, and I might have at least had a notion of where to lean if I'd had more a sense of what
which is
the
why
hell
they
actually
cheated,
happened
because
in the
this is
cave.
why they cheated, because they don't want you to have a direction to lean.
Which is why it pissed me off so much. Like, if you have to cheat, then in my mind, if you have to cheat that badly, in my mind, you screwed up. You shouldn't have to do that.
Fair. I mean, I just feel like they should have just shown them leaving and then being like, well, like, we could maybe figure out if there was tech involved in this, but we don't have time. We should get off the planet. And that's
that would have been lovely. That would have been just fine.
Which is how I had canon how it went down. They're like, that was weird. Maybe it was technology indistinguishable from magic. Maybe it was actual mysticism. We don't fucking know.
I mean, but I think that's the other thing that really ticked me off. Not only do I not see what it's like for them to get out of there, I have no idea what they felt, what they thought, if any of them were doubting what they just saw. We just leap so far ahead that I have no idea what anybody thought about that. Like, I see Adama, introing President Roslin in a way that I could interpret as he's now a true believer, or it could just be he's just backing her politically and he doesn't necessarily believe any of this. But if he doesn't, what's his explanation for any of that? I have nothing to go on because they fucking skipped it.
Yeah, I feel like we could have lost the whole fucking subplot about second in command Zarek guy.
Yeah, that honestly,
it gives a little bit of loyalty proving for Sharon, but there's other ways you could have done that. Yeah,
that's about the only contribution. It didn't need to eat up as much time as it did.
No,
to accomplish that though.
No, yeah, it accomplishes that. Like, it doesn't even really change our opinion of Zarek that much, because I'm like, we know Zarek's capable of doing stuff like that, but he's also, it doesn't like give us a definitive read in either way, because it's like he stops for pragmatic reasons, not necessarily moral ones, but he could have also, like, it's not a very good read on Zarek either from this storyline either. So yeah. Agreed. So I see what you're saying now. It doesn't bother me as much in the jump away, but it does bother me in that we don't get a definitive read on what they feel about it. So
yeah,
we will obviously get more information about how these characters feel about mysticism elements later on, but less so about this specific thing.
Yeah, and like there were so many members of the core cast who were there.
Billy was there,
and I have no clue what any of them thought about what the fuck just happened. Joy.
Well, now we have a direction to Earth at the very least. I'm trying to debate. Do I have anything? Yeah, I do have a spoiler. I definitely have a spoiler minute thing. Now that I think about it. So yes, I will I will be speaking about spoilers for the next 60 seconds, listeners. So if you do not want yourself spoiled, jump ahead 60 seconds, just as Vera is going to do in real time by giving me 60 seconds on the clock.
And go.
The only major thing, two things. First one is, yes, indeed, Head 6 is indeed an angel of God. I think it's kind of interesting that she literally just tells him the truth here. She is indeed an angel of God. That's not a lie. It's flat out. We knew it in season 2. Kind of funny. The other thing, too, I want to point out is the fact that the Earth that they're standing on is the dead Earth that we'll see in the middle of season 4, which is interesting because we also know that they land on our Earth at the end of season 4, the Earth that we live on today, but we also have the same constellations as the other Earth. So the answer that most people have given online that I've seen is that our Earth and the dead Earth are close enough that the constellations are relatively the same. I don't know if that's scientifically justified. If you're a scientist, please put a spoiler warning for Vera, but put that in the comments for this episode, because I'd love to hear your thoughts if you actually know if that scientifically makes sense. But yeah, that's the answer I've heard people use to justify that continuity error. Obviously, the answer is they were just making it up as they went along, and it was a mistake. But I'd be curious to hear your thoughts, everybody. I will warn you, Vera, I did just ask in that 60 seconds thing, because I did ask a question. So just be careful if you read the comments. I did tell people to put a spoiler warning, but just be careful there.
emphatically, please remember.
Yes, but I do have, all I will say is I do have a question for the audience on their thoughts on something that I actually do want to hear their thoughts on. And I just, listeners, please, if you do that, I want that, but put a spoiler warning. I will read it, Vera will not. So, all right. What did you think of this episode overall, Vera?
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's fine. Like it accomplishes what it needs to do. It reunites everybody, so we no longer have a split party. It's been a while since that really hasn't been the case of everybody being back in one place since the show proper started.
Yeah, because Hilo's been away.
Yeah. So,
but what about Anders? You can't forget about poor Anders.
I assume he'll be back, but like for the time being,
all the people that we give a shit about. Yeah.
The core folks are all back together. They're in one place. That's nice to see. And the story did a fine enough job in getting us there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is definitely a moving the pieces on the board thing. It's like everyone's back together now. We have a direction moving with the Earth storyline, and it kind of moved things ahead with the Baltar and Six storyline. So everything kind of like the big, broader like mythos of the show has like stepped forward a little bit. And the plot stepped forward a little bit. So yeah, that's kind of what I was going with. This like in and of itself, this episode's fine in terms of like the plot, but it does move things forward, which I was this is why I was saying before we left for 3 weeks, I was like, oh man, I wish we had watched this episode, mainly just because of the Baltar 6 stuff, just to alleviate you of your burden that you have been carrying with that for so long. I hope that this will make it at least a little less frustrating for you. So
hopefully
we'll see.
No promises.
Yes. Certainly that will evolve over time. But yeah. So yeah, I think this episode's fine as well. I agree with you, but I was excited for it for just the plot elements that I wanted you to get to. So glad that we got there. What I will say is next week, there is a guest star, who I will not spoil, who I am very excited because she joins the show as a recurring character. So very excited for that. And the actress is real cool. One of my favorites. So we will get her next week.
I look forward to it.
I will almost certainly, I am certain you will enjoy this actress. So, and she's recurring. So that's great. All right. All that said, anything else, Vera?
Nah.
Stuff time then.
Stuff. You can find my stuff by looking for Council of Geeks. And YouTube is the main thing that you will find my premiere content on. New videos every Saturday. And Patreon for Council of Geeks is what pays the bills. You can also find Council of Geeks on Blue Sky. And there is, of course, my secondary channel, the Break Room of Geeks, which is where I put up my thoughts on whatever I have watched, listened to, played, or read lately. That's the geeky stuff. There is, of course, also the spicy stuff. And for that, you look for Vera Wild. Wild is spelled W-Y-L-D-E. And you can find increasingly spicy content on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok.
I don't know if you may have said that last time, but it's new to me.
I've said it before.
Well, it's new to me. You can find my stuff at Jesse Gender on YouTube. That's where I do my video essay style stuff. I will hopefully, probably by the time you are listening to this or very soon after, have a video called The Violence of the Archive, which is about how queer and other marginalized history is erased by fascists. The topic is not particularly great, but I am very proud of that video as it's coming along, so be on the lookout for that in the near future if it's not out already. I will also have a Star Trek video out in the near future. I also have a secondary channel called Jesse Gender After Dark, where I do news, reviews, reactions. I will be reviewing Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 3 as that comes out, and Peacemaker.
Oh shit, that is coming out.
It is.
There's another fucking thing I need to catch up on, god damn it.
Just to give my thoughts now, because I'm technically allowed to, and it'll even be out by now. Gotten the screeners for the first 5 episodes. Don't hold your breath for them. Is what I will say. At least the first 3. There's one episode of the first 5 that I liked. And that's about what I can say.
Okay, I guess I won't be prioritizing it.
They're not trash. They're just fine. They're fine. which
that's
is
kind of
more...
what the show's been for a little bit now.
Mm-hmm. I liked season 1 and a couple episodes of season 2, but yeah, season 3 is shaping up to be just okay. Problematic stuff with women, like not let me put tropey stuff with women. Let me put it that way. And like, are we still doing this? Like, I'm not like offended. I'm more just like, all right. Anyways, that's my opinion on Strange New Worlds. But if you want to hear more detailed thoughts on that, check me out on Jesse Gender After Dark. I'll also be reviewing Peacemaker Season 2 when that comes out, because that's in the near future as well.
Fuck. God damn it.
Yep. I might do Foundation, but probably not. I'll probably do a season-long review of Foundation, because I do really like that series quite a lot, and I haven't talked about it much. Anywho, you can also find me on Nebula, which is the streaming platform that houses my movie Identities, which you can watch right now. It'll also be hosting the show Subliminal, which will be coming out sometime next year, as I've confirmed. I've been saying later this year, early next, but it's almost certainly going to be next year, that I just directed an episode of and will be editing over the next few months. So be on the lookout for that. And I'm also on Instagram and Blue Sky. Those are the 2 social media platforms that I use if you want to follow me there. Anything else, Vera?
Nah.
All right. With all that said, I hope y'all live long and prosper.
Be seeing you.